Good evening, diecast enthusiasts. What's going on? Happy Saturday night. I know it's only been a month, but I'm finding myself with these layouts. I get so unbelievably bored with them so quickly. And here in Phoenix, we are, I think, just about done with the 100-degree days. So I think it's probably about time to start the next one. I have it all planned out in my head what it's going to be. It's not going to be a car dealership, although I might do the car dealership along with it, just because if I'm going to have the mess going, I might as well knock both of them out. And the car dealership isn't going to take much. So I might do both at the same time. The other one I'm going to do is going to be pretty intricate, like this one, but in a different way. It's not going to have a bridge. Well, it might. I don't know, actually. I wasn't initially planning on a bridge, but it is going to have a water feature, so it may have a bridge after all. But it's not, the whole focal point of this was this bridge, which, the reason this layout started is because I got craft sticks and I started gluing them together, and I ended up with this bridge, which needed a place, it needed a place to live. And so once I had the bridge built, I had to build a layout. And I had a lot of fun doing it. It took me a lot of time, but I really love making these layouts. I enjoy it as much, or probably actually even more, than collecting. But I love looking at the cars, photographing the cars on backdrops like this. So anyways, I will be starting the next one, hopefully within the next month or so. I've got all the supplies. I just need to get a board, and I need to get some Woodland Scenics Realistic Water. Once I have those two things, I will have everything I need. Well, actually, I need to get more rocks as well. That one's definitely going to need some rocks. But I have lightweight hydrocal, so for those rocks, I'll probably just buy a mold. Be a lot cheaper. Anyways, we're going to start by comparing these two Honda Sports 800s. Red one is from Mechanical Doctor, Kyosho. Silver one is from Konami. This is probably the only example of a crossing car where I prefer the Konami over the Kyosho. And it's not the fact that it's silver, it's the stance. I'm such a stickler on cars with stances, and this is probably the worst stance I've ever seen Kyosho put on a car. But the thing is, I don't know. For all I know, this right here could be accurate, and this could be inaccurate. I don't know. But I think aesthetically, this one here looks better. Plus, I like the slope of the back, the back end of the car better on the silver one, and I like the fender flares on the silver one. So those are the big reasons why I prefer the silver. And they could be different years. I don't know. I mean, we could be looking at apples and oranges for all I know. But just wanted to compare those. When I think it was my last Toy Pimp haul, which was last weekend, I came home with this. I gotta try to make this video quick. I don't have a lot of battery. But I came home with this Toyota Corolla rally car from CM's Diecast. And I mentioned that I had a 1985 Toyota Celica rally car from CM's. And I got a request. Someone wanted to see it. And though I've shown it many times, I thought that, what the heck, I like pulling my Toyotas out. So here is the 1985 Celica from CM's Diecast. the rally car. They did a couple different decos, and I don't know if all the different variations have the option, but I know this one does. You can get this exact deco with headlights up or headlights down. Now, I bought this loose for $8 shipped from Asia, so I do not have the antenna for this one, nor do I have the box or the base or any of that stuff. The Corolla, as you can see, I have both antennas. The Celica only requires one. But I would rather pay $8 and get a loose car like this than pay $20 or $25 and get one with a box and an antenna. So it was a value buy more than anything else. Really nice detail on the CMs though. Nice transparent lens taillights. And as nice as the CM's 85 Celica is, it's not quite as nice as the Konami 85 Celica, in my opinion. I think this one has better detail. Prototypical wheels. It's just a very nice looking car. The lens taillight detail on this one is much nicer because you have the indicators as well as the brake light. But, you know, for scale and proportions and all that kind of stuff, the Konami and the CMs are pretty close. But here is probably my favorite Konami Toyota, at least from the cars of the 80s. I like this more than both of the Celicas. This is the Toyota Soarer. It's a very nicely done car. I don't think anyone else has done this particular two-door version. I know TLV, I think, did a four-door, maybe. Oh, maybe Kyosho did do this one, actually. And I'll tell you what, if they did, I would love to get it. Because I love this car. I should look into that. I think they did, but Kyoshos are just getting so hard to find, and they're getting expensive. Well, I mean, they've always been expensive, but they seem to be getting more expensive. But anyways, this is made by Konami. It's a very highly detailed model. Very nicely done. It'll look great on my new layout. I'm not going to be in as much of a rush to make the new layout. With this one, I had to get it done because the last layout was so bad. But this one is definitely nice enough that I won't feel so rushed. Here's the other Konami Toyota Celica from cars of the 80s. Konami has 5 different Toyota Celica castings, and each one is available in at least 2 colors. Now for this video, I only brought out 3 of the 5 Celica castings. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I missing one? Maybe there's only 4. I thought there was 5. I don't know. Either way, I only brought out 3. This is a 1989 Toyota Celica for those of you that are keeping track. Really cool car. Why is diecast so much fun? Okay. We're going to get out of the Toyotas for a minute. We'll go back to Toyota. I got this out because I had to take a look at it. I love pulling out the Golf from time to time just to say hi. Keep it fresh. Awesome Kyosho. It's one thing about Konami, they only did Japanese brands. Kyosho has done American brands, Japanese, European. All right, so back to the Japanese stuff. So before we go back to Toyota, we're going to take a look at a few Mazdas. Konami, cars of the 80s, Mazda Miata. It's not, that's not a showstopper, but it is what I believe to be the nicest, most accurate replica of the Mazda Miata in 1:64 scale. Granted, it's an older Miata. It's still an awesome little car. Some older Mazda from Konami. Here's the 1972 Mazda Savannah. This is kind of the predecessor to the RX-3. It basically is an RX-3. Great detail on these cars, though. For the most part, the stances on them are decent. You know, for the most part, they're pretty nice. They're not TLV nice. They're not Kyosho nice. Sometimes they're Kyosho nice. This is a Toyota Corolla Levin. Early to mid 1970s, I think. Nice car. The later Corolla Levins were much nicer looking and much more popular. But I don't think anybody else did one of these Corolla Levins. Actually, I think Tomica Limited did this car. But I would rather have the Konami because it's true to scale. The Tomica Limited is not. Well, it is. It's just not true to 1:64. It's true to whatever scale is on the base. But also, the Tomica Limited cars have articulating parts, and I'm not a fan of that in this small scale. So I would prefer Konami to Tomica Limited, and I think there's probably a lot of crossover from Tomica Limited to Konami. There is not a lot of crossover from Tomica Limited Vintage to Konami. There's very little. Here's a first gen Mazda RX-7. This is a brilliant car. Stance is a little bit high, but other than that, this is very nicely done. I don't have the Kyosho example of this, but I would love to get it at some point. Because I do like the RX-7 Savannah. Nice suspension on this one. All you customizers could slam it. And you could camber the wheels, which I think looks awful. I can't believe people do that. Here's the second gen RX-7. This right here is money. This is Kyosho. Konami did not do the second gen. In fact, I don't know anybody that's done the second gen other than Kyosho. I don't think anybody else has done it. Somebody did, though. Tomica had to do it with their basic, at least. I want to say someone else did it. Can't think of who, though. But nobody did it as well as Kyosho. We can take that to the bank. This is a beautiful casting. I love this car. This is, of the 60 Kyosho castings I have in my collection, this one right here would be a top 5. Right up there with the G-Wagon, the R30, probably the 512 BBI. That would be in my top 5. Okay, so we blew right through these. I've only got 2 more to show. So this car here is cool. This car is of some historical relevance, because this is the car that broke Toyota into the North American market. So for Nissan, the car to do that, I actually have one right here with no wheels. This is the car that broke Nissan into the North American market. The Nissan 240Z, or probably more accurately, the Datsun 240Z. That is the car that got their foot in the door, but for Toyota, it was this 1970, 69, 70, this one here is a 70, Toyota Celica. It's the first Toyota that was really built for the American superhighway. And personally, I can see a lot of American influence in this car. A lot of Mustang. I see a lot of American influence with that Toyota Crown as well. I don't like a Ford Falcon maybe, or a Chevy Corvair, something like that. But the Celica to me it just screams Mustang, especially the fastbacks. But right around that time, very late 60s, early 70s, federal regulations on emissions really started to change, and they started to clamp down, and there was a fuel crisis, and gas prices soared, and cars like this, which were very economical, became very popular. And it gave Toyota a foothold in the United States. And it's been all downhill, it's been all downhill since then. But I think part of that fuel crisis is what helped support the success of cars like this. Datsun had a lot of them with... when I was born, my mom had a Datsun. It was about that same color of orange, too. I forget which one she had, though. It definitely wasn't a 510. But I don't know. These Toyotas are pretty awesome. They're not... when you think of JDM, JNC more specifically. I like to use the term JNC more than JDM because it's more specific. But when you think JNC, the first thing that comes to mind is typically Nissan, Skyline, 240Z. Toyota and Honda are afterthoughts. Which is weird because they were more prevalent in America than, the Skylines you couldn't even buy. You couldn't even buy a Skyline in the USA. But that is just an awesome looking car. I love it. This is actually a car that has been featured on Jay Leno's Garage. Of all of these cars in this video, this is the only one. There was a car very similar to this that was featured on his show. It was an RX-3, a little bit newer than this one. But that was it. I don't think there's been a Sports 800. I know there's been a Honda S600 that was on there. I don't recall seeing a first or second gen RX-7 or any Toyota Celica other than the one that we're looking at here. And by the way, I do have one other car to look at. A very nice looking Kyosho Toyota Corolla. This comes about a decade and a half after that. Made by Kyosho. Incredible wheels, the best wheels in 1:64 scale diecast. Nobody does wheels better than Kyosho. It's got a fantastic stance, proportions. Check out those headlights and indicators. Very highly detailed. And the same is true, well, it's not the fall. Same is true for the tail lights and the reverse lights and indicators. All of them are distinct and lensed and detailed, and I love that car. Kyosho has done multiple different variations of this casting. And this is the one I had to... I at one time had the 3-car Toyota AE86 set, which nowadays sells for $80 to $90. And the cars individually are probably $25 to $35. But when I sold off a big chunk of my collection about a year ago, and castings that I had multiples of, I picked one. And in this case, I picked the red one because the white one, which I liked probably more, but it had black wheels, and I don't like black wheels on 1:64 scale cars. Imagine if these wheels were black. All of that detail would be hidden in a shadow. So, anyways, my battery is about to die. I just wanted to show you guys, at the request of a viewer, specifically wanted to show you the 1985 Toyota Celica, but hopefully you all found entertainment in at least something that you saw here. You know, if you have any questions about any of these cars, if there's something about these cars historically that I failed to mention, please comment below. I'd love to hear it. If you're interested in acquiring any of these cars, I always am willing to trade, although I have a general rule of thumb that trading Kyosho, Konami, Tomica Limited Vintage, and those types of brands, I only trade them for other such brands. So I'm not going to trade this type of stuff for Auto World or Greenlight. It's got to be import, premium import for premium import. Another good source is the Toy Pimp, although he has so much stuff that you know, you can't just message him and say, hey, do you have a Konami 1970 Celica? Because there's a 50% chance he's going to respond that he doesn't know. He has so much stuff, it's not physically possible for one person to keep track of all of it. Now, his main gig is Tomica Basic, Tomica Premium, and Tomica Limited Vintage. So if you're looking for any of that stuff, I would bet he knows exactly what he has with that stuff. But for this other stuff, it's hard. You know, you'd almost have to just message him and say, hey, I'm in the market for this, so if you come across one, let me know. And then when he's out in his warehouse going through his stuff, if he stumbles across it, he'll pull it out. But this, to me, is some of the most fun, most interesting type of diecast to collect. I do like Greenlight the most, but this stuff here is a very close second. And this stuff here inspires me more than any other type of diecast to do these layouts. And I can't wait to get started on the next one. Now, when I do the next one, I will keep this layout. I'm going to have probably 3 or 4 of them by the time I'm all done. And, you know, when I do a video, I'll be able to select which backdrop I want to use. It won't be reduced to one option like this one here. we'll have multiple choice. Anyways, thank you everybody. I hope you enjoyed. Have a great night. Go Broncos. And I'll holler at you all at the next diecast video. Hashtag Flat Earth.